Hello and welcome back to Cartola FC English, the only English content on Cartola. My name is Sean. Let's get into Game Week 19. We will start with a review of last week and a very low scoring week. Lots of forwards did not come off. I captained Chiquinho Suarez. He got injured. That's going to be big news going forward in the big picture in the league. Also in Cartola, Chiquinho Suarez has been an amazing option. Very, very consistent for Botafogo, and Botafogo has a nice cushion in the table, but that is a big, big injury, big miss for them. I think it's going to be out maybe 5 weeks. So, yeah, bad captain for me. Marcus Leonardo did score late. Suarez did not, and I think Hulk had that amazing free kick. Otherwise, the forward options, unless you went Daverson at home against Flamengo, forwards did not come off. 58.8 points for me. Pretty low score, but in the terms of the week, it was above the average by 20. It was above the average in the top 50K by, I think, a couple points. And so I did get a small green arrow. Rose about 2K to 46K. Midfielders did not come off. If you did go Cauley or John Arias or both, huge week for you. All my defenders did get nice scores. The double Cuiabá clean sheet against Flamengo was nice. I did fade them against Cuiabá at home. Cuiabá came through there, nice win for them. Capixaba and Marlon, very consistent options. And Lucas Perry, a nice score. So, decent week for me. This is from C Analytico on Twitter, runs a nice Twitter account. Keeping track of some content creators and how they play. Pretty elite players, and yeah, the average was 55 for them. You can see down there at the bottom, so very, very low scoring week. In the table going forward, Botafogo was smooth sailing until last couple of weeks. They have struggled to score, and then yeah, that Chiquinho injury is going to be massive, and really gives, I think, any of those top 6 teams from Flamengo down to Gremio, I think they have an outside chance at chipping away at the deficit and going forward. We're at about the halfway point of the season, and a lot of these teams will be occupied with Libertadores and South America, so it's an interesting point of the season. We have the second leg of Libertadores, some massive games this week. And, really all the Brazilian teams have an outside chance at advancing to the next round. Unfortunately, Flamengo goes on the road to Paraguay on Thursday night. Kind of a short turnaround for them. Palmeiras at home to Atlético Mineiro. Paranense home to Bolivar, although the Paranense match against Cuiabá is not going to count for this week. And then we have the Fluminense match today. The matches for this week in the league, Botafogo Inter is the only game on Saturday night. That's going to be a late deadline. And yeah, that last game, Paranense and Cuiabá will not count for Cartola. So unfortunately, we will not have Chiquinho Suarez due to injury, Vitor Roque due to the game not counting. So kind of a short player pool to pick from this week, especially in the forward department. Other matches that might be intriguing, Atlético Mineiro home to Bahia. Hulk has been firing. Bahia's not a very strong opponent. Gremio at home to Fluminense. Fluminense will look at players suspended, but they have a lot of guys out, as well as that Libertadores match. Flamengo at home to Sao Paulo should be interesting. Fortaleza home to Santos could be some Fortaleza options. And Red Bull Bragantino home to Vasco. Palmeiras home to Cruzeiro. Some nice home options there. Here's a look at the suspended players for this week. Mendoza, João Paulo, some key Santos. I think Lucas Lima as well. Yeah, so some key Santos players out this week against Fortaleza. And lots of Fluminense players. I think they're going to be without 6 players. They will still have a strong team. But we'll see, if they decide to rest some players. Lots of teams rested players last week. Palmeiras, Eloka Paranaense. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting part of the season. Here's a look at the XG tables for the last 5 matches. Fluminense up to the top spot. They have been firing. John Arias in particular has been doing quite well. Atletico Paranaense in second. So yeah, this week those top 3 options in that top tier, and it's not even a high tier as well. We've seen teams above 2.0 xg. Now Fluminense is the top spot with 1.64. They are on the road after the Libertadores match with lots of suspended players. Atletico Paranaense's match will not count. Sao Paulo's on the road to Flamengo. Cuiabá, that match will not count. Vasco's on the road. So really, I mean, Red Bull Bragantino 1.4 xg might be the best pick this week. But yeah, it's not a lot of teams are firing. And we have to keep in mind with teams in South America, they haven't really fielded their strongest 11, especially the last few weeks. So that is something to keep in mind. And I think we have seen that in the offensive chances created has gone down on this chart. So yeah, teams that are in the red, that bottom tier, Inter, Botafogo is the surprising one, and Corinthians down there, way down there at 0.74 xg per match. Botafogo going to be without their key man and struggling to create chances. So they might be a team to fade, and we'll take a look at the defensive stats. They're about mid-table on that, but yeah, it could be a turning point in the season for them. Other teams struggling to create chances: Fortaleza, Cruzeiro, Bahia, and Palmeiras is down there as well. That is a surprise. On the defensive side of the ball, Red Bull Bragantino, Fluminense, and Cuiabá. Those 3 teams are in great form. They are in the top tier. Coritiba, surprisingly, up there with Goiás. And I think that, correlates with some of the stronger teams in South America fielding a weaker side in the last few weeks. Teams that are leaking chances: Corinthians, Sao Paulo, Santos, and America Mineiro. Sao Paulo on the road to Flamengo could have some nice Flamengo picks. Santos on the road to Fortaleza. Here are the attackers XG. I think Luis Suarez is going to be in everyone's team this week with that home match. And I think Gabby is going to be a nice pick as well. Hulk is in good form. Was surprising to see, I think, Pavon take that penalty when Hulk was still on the pitch. So that could hurt him. Eduardo Sasha would be a nice pick if he wasn't limited to being taken off at like the 60-minute, 70-minute mark every match. Red Bull Bragantino is a really nice team, in great form. Sasha's going to be their man up front in center, but the minutes does kind of take a chunk out of his appeal. Artur could be a nice pick. I think Dudu is going to be back for Palmeiras as well, so we'll see how that Libertadores match goes in the midweek, but Artur could be a nice pick at home to Cruzeiro. For the midfielders, Arrascaeta is kind of like Luis Suarez. I think he's an auto pick. We've seen him have a little bit of a rotation risk with Flamengo having so many matches, but even if he plays 20 minutes, we've seen him get a return or two in that short little period of time. So I think he's a great option. Rafael Veiga, nice pick as well. Eduardo I think we've seen Eduardo play in the number 9 position when Suarez has been out, but Botafogo really struggling to create chances, as we've seen on that chart. Vitello for Grêmio could be a nice pick, as well as Gerson. I do like Red Bull's matchup this week, and Evangelista is a nice option. Arias has been on fire despite a low XGA. The last 2 weeks, he's really fired off some nice scores. High MPV for him and a road match, so I will avoid for now. For the fullbacks, I think Reinaldo for Grêmio might be a little bit of a risk to start. Capixaba and Marlon are just really, really solid, consistent picks against pretty much any team. Especially with Marlon, he's fixture proof. So really like Marlon, and Di Placido and Hugo are gonna play. Hugo in place of Marcel, but I might fade both the Fogo players. For the center backs, we saw those Cuyaba picks come off last week. I like the Fortaleza defenders, TT and Brites. Could be nice picks. As well as the Red Bull Bragantino guys, Patrick and Ortiz. Ortiz with the small sample size XGA. Keep that in mind. Gustavo Gomez got on the score sheet last week. He's a nice pick at home. Here is the goalkeeper saves per match and team XGC. Those are the two axes. And the size of the bubble is their opponents this week, how many shots on target they get per match. So yeah, you can see Jardim for Vasco da Gama. They face Red Bull Bragantino. Red Bull gets a lot of shots on target. He's a high upside pick this week. I do like him. Perry is suspended, I'm pretty sure. Or João Paulo as well. Could go Weverton for Palmeiras. Not a bad option. I do like Cunha. He's another high upside guy. Gets a lot of saves per match and faces Sao Paulo. So could have a lot of shots to face there. And it's a home match as well compared to Jardim going on the road. Do like Cunha there. Here's my team as it stands. We have Luis Suarez for Grêmio captain, Gabriel for Flamengo, and Hulk in the forward three. Arrascaeta, Evangelista, and Rafael Veiga. Marlon, Gustavo Gomez, Ortiz for Red Bull, and Capixaba for Red Bull. I also have Cunha as my bench keeper, and the Fortaleza manager. So this is a pretty expensive team, actually. You could go a lot cheaper if you fade Marlon or fade Rafael Veiga, but pretty expensive team. Almost 158 Cartola bucks. Let's compare it to the most popular team of the week. Here are the most popular picks so far this week. Very, very interesting team here. Lots of, I think, 3 Corinthians picks. 2, I'm just not so sure about that. They've been the worst offensive team as far as XG by far in the last 5, and I think a bottom 4 team in defense. So it's home match against Curitiba, but I just don't rate the team at all. 2 Red Bull defenders, I do like that. Gustavo Gomez, I also have in there. Same midfield. They do have Cuesta, which I kind of mentioned. I do want to fade Botafogo. I think the pressure is going to be on for them. Hulk, captain, Yuri Alberto for Corinthians, and Eduardo Sacha is in there. So, yeah, interesting team. Surprised not to see Luis Suarez. I don't know if there's any, rumors he's got more knee issues or something, but, yeah, so that is it for this week. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.